Well, there's some factors that often play a role in the big crises, right? So the really big ones often have a banking crisis along with them. So often the financial system is very damaged at the end of it. And that's what makes them so dangerous for the future, because then all this intermediation goes away, all the lending goes away. Another thing a lot of financial crises have in common is well, exchange rate movements for the developing market ones. Also, house price booms and busts. Almost every financial crisis in history had in its build-up a housing bubble, and then in its aftermath a housing crash, which had everybody, basically. That's another thing that they all have in common. But I don't know if you're aware of it, there's a very nice book that came out a few years after the crisis called This Time is Different. It's written by who after that got discredited for cooking his numbers on the Excel spreadsheet. Some of you might have seen that in the news. But the book is still nice because it's kind of a history of financial crisis through time. So if you're interested in that, you should take a look at that. It's very sort of, the argument is really, everything is different, but there are these factors that they all have in common, really. And another thing that they all have in common, or tend to have in common, is government debt tends to be big in countries that experience a financial crisis, because that makes it even worse, right? If a financial crisis hits and the government at the same time has borrowed crazy amounts of money, and then the government cannot go and borrow more money in order to help out the domestic system, then you're in even more trouble, right? So in Germany and in the US and in Britain, we had the situation after the financial crisis where there were huge fiscal stimulus packages, where the billions and billions of dollars were pumped into the economy through government spending. And the government financed that by going to international financial markets and borrowing from abroad, right? However, if you're Greece, or if you're Spain, and you're already really indebted, then you cannot do that. So in that case, you cannot help out your economy, and the aftermath of the financial crisis will be even worse than it would have been otherwise. That's another thing that they tend to have in common with the fiscal problem.